John, yesterday the club appointed Stephen Presley as our new head coach. Can you tell us about Stephen and the process of appointing a new head coach?
Yeah, I mean, Dundee Football Club, we have a core value of development. And we've always had a core value of development. And working within development and winning is a very fine line. So we need to have somebody that is working within those parameters at a very high level. And there's multiple parameters within that. So having a proper framework, a proper structure, a consistent structure, these are all the things that we have to have. And with young players, we have to have a constant structure for their development. And if we're doing all of these things together and getting the senior players, working with the development players, and singing all from the same hymn sheet, so to speak, then we have the ability to be successful. Stephen comes with all of those tools. For the last 4 years at Brentford, he's been working with development players and integrating them into the first team. He has been working on how those players work together, what it takes in order to get these players to the level that they're playing at a Premier League level, and how they integrate and how the two sets of players work together. So Stephen comes with that vast knowledge and the understanding of what we need to do in order to be successful. And here at Dundee Football Club, we need all of that in order to be successful. It's a fine line when you walk the development line with the first team, because you take one step too far one direction and you don't have a very successful season. But I think Stephen's going to bring the attributes that he brings to the role. I think we're looking forward to a very successful season.
Before we speak more about Stephen, before the appointment, the club announced that the structure of the football department would be changing. Can you tell us about the change of structure?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the word development, doesn't it? So what we do, we have a head coach. He'll have his backroom staff as normal. We've installed David Longwell. He is going to be the technical manager. He'll be working under Gordon Strachan, but also with the first team setup. His role is specific to the individual player development. He will be making sure that from a craft knowledge point of view, from strength and conditioning point of view, and everything that goes in between, that the player has everything that they need, and we will be working, extra in order to fit into our organization. This is really important to us because we have so many players coming through our academies now. Stephen Wright and Kevin and Robo, they've been doing such a good job of bringing players through that we need to have that person that is giving that a little bit more to our players, so they can be the best players that they could possibly be. So it's going to be more work. It's going to be more time on the pitch. It's going to be more time with analysis. It's going to be more time in the gym. It's going to be more time doing all of these things. So therefore, that player will be able to fit into the team seamlessly. Now, that's not just development players. All players at Dundee Football Club are development players. It doesn't matter if you're 30 years old or 19. That's every player is going to have David looking after him to say, all right, what it is that we need to do to help you be the best player that you can be, and then come together as the best unit that you can do. And then it trickles down from there. But those are the main changes that people will see from, externally.
With the move from manager to head coach, what will this look like day to day, and how will this sort of differ to what we've had in the past?
Well, for the fans, it won't look much different at all. In fact, the two terms are, used interchangeably. But the reality is the head coach is going to be focusing more on the match day. He's going to be focusing more on the unit play. He's going to be focusing more on getting everybody prepared for that, to get the points in the bag, so to speak. Whereas now we've appointed other people that'll be more focused on the development. It's not to say that we can't be developing as we're coaching and doing those things, but we've added that other layer to make sure that we're going beyond that. So from the outside, it probably won't look much different than it looks, from being a manager to a head coach. I don't think you'll see much of a difference on the sideline.
On to Stephen. Obviously, Stephen's been appointed as head coach. How did you arrive at the appointment of Stephen, and what really stood out to him?
Well, if you look at how what we just talked about, how we want the club to be structured, because once you have this framework in place, that gives the team an identity. And when you talk about everybody working off of that framework and everybody really understanding that framework, then you've got a team that can be successful. Everybody's working and heading in the same direction. Stephen comes with those tools. Stephen, through our interview process, we spent about 4 hours walking through all of the different elements of what needs to happen in order for us to be successful. And, Stephen really understood, and Stephen was basically saying all the things that we want to hear. And, we still have to put it all in practice, but, Gordon and I want the organization from a football standpoint working in a certain way. And, Stephen really ticked all the boxes, literally ticked all the boxes of what we need to do. And all the way through to the hard work, from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from a physical stature standpoint, all of these things we are aligned with.
What do you think are the main things that Stephen's going to bring to the club and going to positively change?
Well, you have to also remember, Stephen, as a player, was a captain. He's a leader. And but he's a soft-spoken leader. He leads by example. That when you're playing for Stephen, that he cares about you. He cares about your career. He wants to make you better, and wants you to be as successful as possible. And that's what we all want. So I think that you'll see here at the football club that everybody will be being treated in a manner that gets them to be as successful as they possibly can be.
You briefly mentioned it earlier, but we also announced yesterday the appointment of David Longwell as technical manager. Mm-hmm. Can you just tell us a bit about this role, which is a new one to the club, and a bit about David?
Well, David comes with a vast amount of experience from St. Mirren to Burnley and everywhere in between. He's been to the States and the like. And David is, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, he's no nonsense. He talks, we talk about development. He knows what the players need from a craft knowledge standpoint to a strength and conditioning standpoint, fitness standpoint. We have a standard, and David's role is going to make sure that each player understands that standard and is constantly working towards that standard. He will be, working in the first team setup. There'll be things that the manager, see, I just did it. The head coach will say to him that, look, we've been working on this certain element. So-and-so isn't quite getting it. Can you take him back up on the pitch? Can you show him? Can we do? And so as the team continues to progress, nobody is left behind, and continue to move forward. I think it's a huge step for the football club, also with the players that are coming through. I mean, I'll use Luke Graham, for example. Luke Graham, has a bright future in front of him, and we need to be giving him all the attention and all the tools that we can possibly give him for him to have a long and successful career. And then you have the likes of Billy Cometti, all the guys. You have all these guys that we can really instill and install as much professional football and as much of an understanding of the game as we can.
So will David's role be a very sort of hands-on, practical role, working alongside players?
Absolutely. Like I said, he'll be in the first team setup. He'll be on the bench in match days. He'll be looking and working with these players on a daily basis. He'll also be, overseeing what the strength and conditioning is doing, what our sports science is doing, everything that we can do to make this player the best player that he can possibly be while he's here at Dundee Football Club.
The club have mentioned it, you've mentioned it several times in this interview already,
Yep.
the word development. This is obviously an area that is extremely important to the club going forward.
Yeah, development is a core value and has been a core value of the club since we've been here. So all the way down to the point where we have a very good relationship with St. John's High School, and all of our academy players are now there. I had a meeting with the head teacher last week, and he was very complimentary on our players that are there. They're role models. They are exemplary students, and it doesn't help or doesn't hurt that they're winning more gold medals in other sports as well now with our players there. But that was the start. We started that 5 years ago, and that was a really important beginning stage of development for us. And Stephen and Kevin and their teams have exceedingly excelled at the development of players, and we're starting to see more and more players coming through at a caliber that are at the professional level. But even so, even those that don't come all the way through, they're having an experience and they're getting an education that is second to none. So that's the beginning of our development. And then you roll into what Scott Robertson's doing with the development squads, and however the SFA is going to set up his squads in the next coming years. He's doing a fantastic job of educating and developing these players. And then, like I said, then we move on into the first team and into the development that Stephen will give them. And then, David paying attention and paying attention to their career all the way through. So by the time they leave Dundee Football Club, they are a better player. Winning is one big thing for Dundee Football Club, but these players moving on from Dundee into a bigger and better career potentially, that's also a win for the club. And we should all be very proud of the players that come through our academy that move beyond us. And it's something that we should be not sad about, it's something we should be very proud of.
Just looking at a few other areas, obviously we're aware that we've got a number of players who are soon to be out of contract, players moving on. What stage are we at with some players signing new contracts, and then the whole recruitment picture for next season?
Well, the recruitment hasn't stopped at all. With Billy, Gordon, Dave, got the boys down south working with us. That has not stopped. This morning, looking at our picture, we have 68 candidates for the positions that we have available. There will be some signings here soon of current players. We are negotiating with 3 other players on top of that as we speak here today. So the recruitment process every year is daunting. Dundee Football Club, we always have these, we always have a turnover of players. And it's something that we have to do and refresh the team each year. We have a standard of player that we want to bring to the club, and we're working diligently in order to do so.
Last season we finished in 10th position. What are the hopes and ambitions for the club for this coming season?
Well, it's always top 6. Top 6 is what we budget for. Top 6 is what we it's always our goal. We always strive to be in the top 6, and we always will. It's a little bit tougher to do when you're walking the development line like we do. We were one of the youngest teams in the league last year, but that's always the goal. And getting into Europe will be the step beyond that, and that's where we believe Dundee Football Club should be, and have that being in that 6th position or higher should be where we should be at a stable position, and that's where we always think we should be.
And just lastly, what would your message be to the Dundee fans for the season ahead?
Yeah, I would say continue to get behind the team. You know, their support is vital, and it's vital on the day. It brings the team that extra spark, that extra advantage that, you know, potentially gets us over the line and puts the points in the bag. I mean, our fans are fantastic, and that's never been questioned. So, you know, just continue to get behind the team and give them that lift.